done it a couple of times in my life. Listen, it's late. It's late. It's late. But I said, come on. You know, some Steelers fans late at night want to see a little something. Well, something for you. 11:05 Eastern Standard Time, 11/7/25. Hope everybody's doing well. All right. So I was just hearing some information, some new stuff coming on board. Let me just do a test in the chat. Okay, you can see that too. Just some interesting information that popped up. I just thought, you know what? Let's let people hear a little bit about this. So, got some Aaron Rodgers and just media availability. He said something interesting because I have a feeling he was prone to say something about open receivers. So let's take a look anyway.
Enough things after the last game. What were things that you guys, when you had time to go over film, that you could do cleaner that would make you guys feel more complete offensively?
Just the details, I think, and some of the really all the plays, run game, passing game, just little things like that.
What do you think is the next step for this offense? I mean, you guys have done really well in the red zone, done a little bit of things really well, but then a lot of 3 and outs. What's the next step for you guys to become a better offense?
Just consistency with the details.
Aaron, what could you do to help MVS kind of pick this up quickly?
I can translate, the offense we ran in Green Bay for a number of years into this offense for him. He's a smart guy. He's played a lot of football, been around a long time, been productive, so I'm sure he'll pick it up pretty quick.
What kind of challenges does Derwin James bring as a safety with the different levels that he plays in that defense?
Yeah, I mean, he plays high safety, the half-field safety, the quarter safety, the big nickel, dime linebacker. He can do it all. I mean, he's one of the top players in the league, and he can do it at multiple positions. He can blitz, he can cover, he can tackle. I mean, he's one of the more impressive players you see on film.
Aaron, how have you seen the receivers kind of handle all the outside noise, adding a guy or needing a guy, and how have you seen them progress over your time?
I mean, that was just yesterday, so I'm not sure. I haven't heard a peep about any of it, so I'm not sure.
Were you holding your breath at all at the trade deadline yesterday, hoping that there would be a move, see anybody else brought in?
That's disrespectful. Isn't that disrespectful? When you holding your breath to see if somebody else come in, you're implying that he wants someone else to come in. Do you know how many pass catchers on the Steelers? Let's be honest. From the Joker, from the tight end from Miami to R. Muth, to our center's brother. He's the 4th string. Who's our third one? Washington. I mean, and then the wide receivers. We have a lot of pass catchers, and I'm not saying that we wouldn't appreciate a wide receiver too, but to speak to are you holding your breath to see if you're implying that he wants another pass catcher, which would then disrespect the existing pass catchers that we have, and we have a lot of them. So you got to be careful of that loaded type of questions. Well, you holding your breath? No. Next question. You know what I mean? All right, let's go on.
What I've learned about the trading deadline is there's a lot of conversation, and rarely is there a lot of action. Maybe a little bit more the last few years, but in my early days, there was hardly ever any roster moves. At the deadline, there were some big ones yesterday, but you feel pretty good about your guys, and we added Marquez to the P squad. We've had guys on the P squad who've been playing for us. Obviously, Keyshawn got elevated and been doing a nice job for us. Max has done really good all year. Isaiah's done good. So we've had guys on the P squad step up every single week and play, and there'll be no difference this week.
Aaron, does the versatility you have in tight ends to also maybe make it not as urgent a need to find whatever people define as quote number 2 receiver?
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of outside talk. You got to look at the way we're playing and the personnel groupings that we like. We're a multiple personnel team. We run a lot of guys out there. We had an offensive lineman play a lot of snaps. Obviously, Darnell plays a lot of snaps, and Johnny and Pat, and Connor gets in there on some plays, and, rotating 3 different backs, a lot of different receivers. So we're not a big 3-receiver team in general. And when Calvin's come back and played really well for us, and, Roman's been more consistent. So there was probably more noise outside of the facility than maybe inside the facility.
Now that we speak of Roman, I mean, how many of you wanted Roman cut after this MO? Had to try to jump over 6 feet people and then got a fumble because the ball hit out of. When you had the first down in the first place, what are you jumping over people? I think Tomlin and the other coaches call it just a dumb play. And I wouldn't be surprised if you got benched this next game. What type of ridiculous is that? You almost single-handedly gave him the game after we got 6 turnovers. It was ridiculous. Now that he speaks about Roman, talking about consistently bad, trying to jump over 6 feet people. What's wrong with you when you already had the first down? Let's go on.
Aaron, before the game, cameras caught you, CBS talked about you, and
Ask Zach about that one. But the point I was making was I dislocated my pinky when I was like 11 years old, and it never kind of recentered back up. And he snapped one a little bit on the inside. But no, I'm fine.
Aaron, you talked a little bit about the 2010 team after the game. Can you draw any comparisons with this team, maybe in the locker room?
The 2010 team?
Well, the Packers team that won the Super Bowl.
What did I say?
I forget exactly what you said, but you mentioned the team. But I just was wondering if you can draw any comparisons
about the
with
different guys.
with the guys in the locker room and maybe on the field with this team.
I mean,
Let me just pause here. Why are you asking such a convoluted question? Like, these questions are either maybe pre-game, post-game. Can you give me a juxtaposition of the Green Bay 2010 team to the team we have now? I think the 2010, was that in the Super Bowl team? To the team we have now? Really? And you want him to go in depth about the comparisons and the analogies? That's your question? He's going to play the Colts. Let's talk about that. What are you asking? Just the position of the 2010 team to this team. Like, if we were 13-4 already, or won a playoff game already, or at the Super Bowl, or won the Super Bowl, and then you're just positioning that Super Bowl team to this Super Bowl team, appropriate question. What the hell are you asking him this question for now? This is pre-Colts. We want to know about that. We don't care. Ask it when we get there. When we get there, we're going to get there. But ask us when we get there and we won, and that's a post-game question. Can you just, but what are you doing that now? Who cares? We're 5-3. We're not the 2010 team. We're 5-3.
it's that which you can't measure, which is often the most important part of the chemistry in the locker room. And I think Mike did a good job. You know, the team has gone to Latrobe every year, which is a good foundation building for us. And, you know, the guys get along. I was telling Marquez, there's no bad apples in here. There's nobody you worry about. Nobody with consistent late issues or team rule issues. Not that there's a lot of rules in general, but no, there's a bunch of good guys in here that care about each other and play for each other.
With the game on the West Coast this week, do you go do any work with the body work guy, anything like that you get while you're on the West Coast?
I'm not going to talk about what I do in my personal time.
Nice.
Can you talk about the relationship that you've developed with Cam as kind of
Cam Hayward, his brother, the fourth tight end. That's what I forgot. Yeah, my bad. I forgot about the fourth tight end, and that's Cam Hayward's brother, who does well. And every now and then he'll get a touchdown opportunity. And it'll be a difficult question. Like the level of difficulty that one opportunity he has in catching, it's like almost a 9 out of 10. But guess what, bro? You got to catch it. You want to know why? Because that's the only touchdown opportunity you're going to have. So you got to catch it.
To a movie night a while back and said it was a big team function. I showed up. I was the only player there on a Tuesday night too. You know, it's just like we got an early Wednesday morning, the quarterbacks, with our meeting with Mike. So I was like, fine. I love team bonding, chemistry stuff. I show up, I see him and his son Cal, who we got to know during training camp. I'm like, oh, cool. Forrest Camp's here. I'm looking around, I go, where's everybody at? So then he texted me a couple nights ago. I said there was something on Monday night. And I said, is this going to be like the last one? No response from the group chat. But I really appreciate his leadership. He's a guy who knows how to use his voice at the right times. And his play has been stellar, I think. He's made some plays where he's hustling the backside of balls being on the flat that are really impressive. He's pushed the pocket in the middle. He's got his hands on a lot of footballs. So it's been key kind of game-changing plays for us. But he's a steady guy. I like to razz him from time to time because I'm a little more maybe chipper, would you say, in the mornings than he is. But I'm really fortunate to play with Cam Hayward.
What movie did you watch?
When I actually went, it was Tron, the new Tron. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about the movie yet.
How excited are you to have MBS back?
I love MBS. Yeah.
What's the trickiness of balancing having so many different targets to work with on offense and strike that balance week in and week
It's not
out?
tricky at all. Throw it to the open guy. So whoever gets open usually gets the opportunities.
Do you find that easier than when there's one guy that you're trying to?
It's never that. Even with Devontae, I just said, listen, I throw it to the open guy, but Devontae was open more often than not. So he's obviously getting those targets. But I throw it to the open guy. Obviously, we have a lot of different personnel groupings and splits and alignments and motions and stuff that we're trying to get certain guys the ball. Teams have been trying to shut down DK. They've been rolling.
Hold on. And this is what I wanted to get to, and I love that, especially about a veteran quarterback. You have any issues about all the pass catchers that you have? And, who you going to pass to? He says, no, I don't have any issues. Throw to the open guy. Boom! I like that. That represents. Okay, throw to the open guy. You know why? Because it represents no bias. Yeah. I know DK. Yeah. Look, if you're open, not DK, maybe Hayward's brother, I'm throwing it to you. Muth, I'm throwing it to you. Washington, I'm throwing it to you. DK, I'm throwing it to you. Calvin, I'm throwing it to you. Roman, when you're not jumping over 6 feet, people, I'll throw it to you. Do you see what he's saying? So I love that response because it represents no bias. And then he talked about Devontae. He's like, yeah, because he got open, and he got open, and he got open again. Play after play after play after play. So guess what I did? I threw it to him. Play after play after play after play. I throw it to the open player. And I like that. Right back there, person. And nothing personal, but, don't try and infer that there's some type of bias in how I throw. No, I throw it to the open person. Want the ball? Get open. And I think it goes on to talk about if you have an issue with that I'm not throwing it to you and you're open, then we're going to go take a look at the tape. Because I'm not going to take your word for it. You don't have to take my word for it. Let's go take a look at the tape. And we're going to see how open you were or were not. And if you were, then we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about getting you the ball. But damn it, if you were not open, we're going to talk about that too. But guess what, though? Before we even talk about it all, we're going to take a look at the tape. Let's go take a look at the tape. Come to me. I like that. Because it puts people in check. Don't talk to me if you're open when you're not open. Right? And then if you are open and I pass you the ball, you don't catch it, you're going to talk to me when you open it again? No, you're not. So I'm like, let's go take a look at the tape. Let's go take a look at the tape. I like that.
Coverage to him damn near every play. Even when it looks like single high, they'll just roll to his side. They're basically playing 0 on one side and 2 men on the other side. So other guys got to step up and make plays.
You mentioned no bad apples here. You talked about Pat a couple
Except
weeks
for Cam, yeah.
A couple weeks ago when you were talking about Pat, you said, look, some guys, they don't get targets, they bitch and whatever. It seems like it's not happening in general with this group. What do you sort of attribute that to?
Well, me and Mike are pretty scary, I think. I welcome those conversations. I do. Somebody wants more targets, I welcome the conversation. But I usually say, let's watch the film. Let's talk about football. I love doing that. I think what young players learn is that practice is very, very important. And when you show it week in and week out in practice, it gives the quarterback a lot of confidence to come your way with football. And when guys have good weeks of practice, like Roman did a couple weeks ago, you just kind of feel that the ball is going to find him at some point. Now, the balls that he caught weren't exactly as him as a number one in the progression. But when you have confidence in a guy and you've seen him do it in practice, it gives you that confidence to do it. The play I had Pat on in practice was a play we worked on since training camp, and it didn't quite look right until about 2.5 weeks ago. Me and Pat worked on the side with it, and we talked about if you just wait a little longer on that and sell it and really get your feet in the ground, I think it's going to open up more. Now, that was for match covers. They played cover 4 on that one, but because he waited, the ball was able to be completed between the safety and the corner, and then he made a beautiful athletic play to get in the end zone. But when you see stuff like that in practice, it allows you to have the confidence to go to that guy on those plays in the game. And the other part is, like I said, I'll say it again just because it means so much to me, but when a guy's not getting the ball and they still show up to work the same way every single day, every week, there's a lot to be said for that. And I've mentioned Pat and I mentioned Roman, Calvin at times as well, DK. There's a lot to be said for that.
All right. Do you see what he said, though? When you do it in practice on this play, and we work it, and I need you on that spot, on that play. I don't need you 2 feet from the spot. I don't need you 2 feet in front on the side. I need you right there at that time. Tom Brady was maniacal like that. And when you do that in practice, and you heard him. Now I trust that you're going to do it in the game. And you know what? You're going to be there at that spot, on that time, on that play, because of what the defense is, and that's where I'm going to pass you the ball. And I trust you're going to be there because you do it in practice over and over and over again. What you do in practice, that's what I'll trust you're going to do in the year. Hear him? So check this out. And I was kind of, the wide receiver. I thought they might take a wide receiver too. The guy from the Raiders. Last year, that guy never dropped the ball. It's ridiculous. So check this out. This is from Steelers News. Go follow them. Steelers Talk at Chat Sports YouTube. Check this out.
On whatever that news is. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And let's dive into this reporting here. And this is coming from a bunch of different sourcing. Mark Caboli, Chris Halleck, are the people at the forefront of this reporting here. But according to this of all these reports that are starting to leak out here today, the Pittsburgh Steelers were very, very interested and very aggressive in trying to get a wide receiver in a trade before the NFL trade deadline. And unfortunately, the 3 receivers that they were reportedly in on, none of them ended up coming to fruition. Only the Steelers offered the Las Vegas Raiders both a 4th and a 6th round pick in exchange for Myers, the same exact deal that the Jacksonville Jaguars ended up getting him for. And apparently the Raiders gave Jacoby the final choice. Okay, we got the same offer from 2 different teams. Which team do you want to go to? And Myers picked the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Stop! Hold on! Wait a minute! Bring it back! Bring it back! Bring it back one time! Are you kidding me? Jacoby Myers. And the same offer of a 4th and a 6th was offered by... Too much stereo there. Are you kidding me that with Jacoby Myers, that Jacksonville offered a 4th and a 6th, Steelers offered a 4th and a 6th, Raiders said, here you go on a platter, you choose, and he chose Jacksonville? Really? Like, I could say maybe he thinks that there's too many pass catchers in the Steelers, he won't get enough opportunity. But in regards to franchises, you chose Jacksonville? I know Brian, I forget his last name, one of the most recent draft picks for Jacksonville is hurt. And then their high draft pick is on IR, Henry. So, maybe he's thinking, I'm number 1 right now. I got the opportunity to get my stats up. But in the long run, Jacoby Myers, you think it would be better to go with Jacksonville than Pittsburgh? Let's be honest, you're not going to win your division in Indianapolis. Indianapolis has that 7-2, in all probability. So your chance of getting in the playoffs is a wild card. And then going forward, you've already seen the history of their franchise, and you think that's your best bet? Really? Listen, you might think because people are injured and out, you have a great opportunity to get a lot of catches. But at the end of the day, you have to consider the quarterback too. You're gonna go with Lawrence instead of Aaron Rodgers getting you the rock? Listen, all I'm gonna say is Rodgers appreciates people who can catch the ball. Period. And you saw Devontae get the ball, and get the ball again. You heard him. You prove yourself to be open. You go get the ball. You get the ball again. The next play and the next play and you're going to choose Lawrence over him? You're going to choose that franchise over him? Why? Because you may get a lot more balls in the more near future? So what? When I heard this, I just said, this is odd.
And then, according to Chris Halleck, another reporter here, he claims that the same thing happened with Rashid Shaheed of the New Orleans Saints, now a member of the Seattle Seahawks. Apparently, the Steelers offered the 4th and 5th round picks that the Seattle Seahawks ended up giving to New Orleans in exchange for Shaheed. And apparently, again, the Saints gave the receiver an opportunity to go to Pittsburgh or to Seattle, and he ended up picking the Seattle Seahawks.
Really?
So the fact that, Omar Khan and the Steelers missed out on these receivers for pretty much the same exact reason is kind of crazy. Now, I will say the Shaheed one makes more sense to me because, he's played under Clint Kubiak before. Kubiak was the OC in New Orleans last year. Shaheed had a pretty darn good season in his offense. Obviously, he already knows the terminology, all that stuff. So
that's it. I'm done. I can't listen to this foolishness anymore. Kubiak, history of Kubiak. So I can understand. Shut up! And not him, per se. Are you kidding me? You're choosing franchises. You're choosing leadership. You're choosing history, their progression in getting in postseason, so on and forth. That's what you're choosing. You're not just choosing this year. You know what I mean? You're choosing your future. You're going to choose Jacksonville. You're going to choose Seattle. I appreciate Seattle, what they're doing now, but really? All right. And I'm not even so much on Rashid Shaheed in Seattle, right? You're New Orleans, that's fine. But the Raiders wide receiver, Myers? You're choosing Jacksonville over the Steelers. Really? I mean, unless one franchise ensures that they're going to lock you up, that you guys had some type of communication, and they're going to lock you up with a long-term extension, and Steelers didn't provide that, okay. I can see that. But other than that, if this was a straight-up, equal, lateral type of choice, and you chose them, yeah, before I even get into that, so they speak, and I don't even know if I'm going to get into that anyway. So they speak about San Diego and what they're doing on early downs, first and second, they're throwing it. And that's how we burned Indianapolis Colts. We took away their first pass option, which gave our D-line more time to get to them, and we got to them. And I think you got to do the exact same thing with San Diego. They have early first down option passing. Take away their first option, get our defense more time to get to them, and then get to them. Now Roman, their coordinator, may then change to start running the ball initially. Then you've got to make the adjustment, right? And we know how to stop the run. We've proven that a couple times now with strong teams and being able to stop the run. So if you see that, then we got to make the adjustment. But right away, because we know how they're passing early on first downs, is do the exact same thing that we did to the Colts. Take away their first option. Right away, if we can get the second option, okay. But if we take away their first option, that is proven that it will give our defensive four-man line front to get to the quarterback. That's our first option. If they make adjustments in starting running early on, then we make the adjustments in stopping the run as we know we can and we have when we need to focus on that. But right away, that's what they're doing on passing early rounds. We got to get to them and take away their first option right away on passing early rounds. It's interesting that the Steelers took their took the ball on the coin flip last game and then kicked off in the second half. I suggest you take the ball again, because if you can take the ball and score 7, now we'll see what their OC really wants to do. Because if they were interested in passing, they're really going to be interested in passing now because they're 7 down. And if they were interested in running on early downs, they might think twice now that they know they're 7-0. So I think this is the game you really want the ball to go and score, and then put them on their heels to see what they really want to do. And I think that's passing, knowing they're a quarterback. Take away the first option, let's get to the quarterback. And they think ESPN speaks about that a little bit here.
And they were able to create 5 turnovers in that game. We saw the same thing against the Indianapolis Colts. Is when they can pin their ears back, and especially when on the outside with Highsmith and TJ Watt and Herbig. And we also saw Peyton Wilson take a step forward with his playmaking last week. I'm not sure that Terrell Austin will have as much of a grasp on what he wants to do early downs the way he did against the Indianapolis Colts. But if he can make Justin Herbert hitch in the pocket the way that we saw Daniel Jones last week, it should be a feasting festival for the front line of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And that's all I want to show here is hitch, right? Meaning that first option is taken out. So you can't pass it to him. Now you're holding on the ball. Now you're holding the ball. Enough time for our D-line to get to your behind. I found a few people here. Let's see if there's anything worth anything. Let's take a look here. Alan Saunders! Pittsburgh Steelers reporter. Go follow him. And let's take a look. Edge rusher released. Ouch. Clears waivers, though, so you can pick him back up. Missed tackle right. Okay, who cares? It's out of that. There's DeMarvin Leo. But he did clear waivers, so I think he can pick back up. C.J. Wilson. And let's continue. Back 55. The guy was out for a year or so. I forget his name. Lineman. Who's that? Yeah, it's called Holcomb. That's 55. Illness. Corey Trice is always hurt. What's new? Broken right pinky. When did that come about? What the kind of foolishness is that? Will Howard's always hurt and not really playing a lot. Kind of crazy. Okay. And then let's see if there's anything from Christopher. Let's go back here. Go back. Christopher Carter. Another Pittsburgh reporter. Go follow him. It's pinned. I don't know who that is. Okay, so swing the ball around. Okay, so there's not really a lot here. Spreading the ball around. Yeah, that's what we're talking about anyway. Anywho, man, I just want to get on a little late at night. Don't know how long it'll last. A little update. See what's going on. Anyway, take care. Have a good one. And I'll see you when we do another live. Whatever that is. Peace.
Go.